Welcome in, Michigan basketball postgame. Michigan, Illinois. Wolverines shorthanded in Champaign tonight. It was maybe closer than people expected, closer than I expected. A 4-point game at the half ends up being a 68-53 win by the Illini. I'm Dennis Fithian, joined by Jim Scarcelli. But, Scar in this one, as people that watch this game will know, Michigan, they were down 10 with 14 minutes to go, but they chipped away. They were down 2 with 9, and with 7 minutes to play, they were down 1. Devontae Jones was driving in there for the go-ahead bucket, to put Michigan up. So, they fought really there to the 7-minute mark, and then Illinois started hitting some shots and made some free throws, and ended up winning it by double figures tonight.
Yeah, hey, we did some good things. We played some real good defense. Illinois didn't shoot the ball great, but a lot of it was because of Michigan. The good part of this game is we played a lot of guys. Jawan is getting to look at a lot of kids to get a real good feel about, are these guys going to be players? I think our point guard, I think Devontae Jones, I think it's unfair, Danny, to compare him to other point guards we've had in the past, because he doesn't have Isaiah Livers sitting at the 3-point line. He doesn't have Franz Wagner sitting at the 3-point line. And I mean, he's a good player, and he was outstanding today. And I just think he's a good guard. He just, I just think it's unfair to compare him to guys we've had in the past. But
well, tonight he didn't have Hunter Dickinson, his big man, and Michigan's All-American. Both Dickinson and Brandon Johns out for medical reasons, so they were shorthanded. And the first thing you start with, Illinois, they can shoot. They got the transfer from Utah. That's lights out, and Frazier's taking a step up. But it starts with Kofi Cockburn. I mean, he's as big as almost as big as Shaq. Back when Shaq was at LSU. I mean, that's how. The kind of physique on the big man, and Michigan. I don't know, Diabate is he's an interesting player. I mean, he can do a lot of things. He got into some foul trouble, and Michigan was up against it. You had to throw Jace Howard and Faulds at him. I mean, that's you knew that was going to be a long night. I mean, that's tough to handle. You got to have bodies against a big man like that.
I thought in general we did a decent job defending Kofi. I thought it was decent. And the thing about Diabate, when he's a bad matchup for Kofi, Diabate, a year from now he would take Kofi to the hole. But Hunter is not as good a matchup, I think, for Michigan as Diabate is. He could take him to the hole and do some things. But I thought defensively we did a decent job against Kofi, and he is huge. He's a big, strong kid. And I contemplated maybe going hack a Kofi at times, because he does struggle at the line, but he's tough to defend. But I thought in general we did some decent things defending him. But something that was I didn't understand. I mean, the Faulds, how do you say it? Folds.
Faulds. Yeah.
Folds. He did a decent job defensively, but I don't understand getting the ball to him on the low block against Kofi Cockburn. I didn't understand that offensive philosophy, because he wasn't going to do anything with the ball when he got it on the low block, because Kofi was just rejecting everything. So I didn't understand that. I would have brought him away from the basket or did something to get Kofi away from the basket, because that was just not much of an offensive threat for Michigan.
No, I think that's a good point. I think that the way the game started is that you weren't getting anything from Caleb Houston. Like it went to a situation where his shot, where that he's struggling with his confidence, that he's not only missing the rim, I mean, he's missing by 2-3 feet. And, being able to get him back where he can just be out on the floor, where he can feel confident that maybe he can shoot. I mean, that wasn't there early. So you don't have him. You mentioned Devontae Jones. It was like, Eli, Frazier was in his back pocket. He's a really good defender. So, Devontae Jones really, they didn't have a whole lot of offense. I think that's so when they were running their sets. But yeah, that's a good point. There was no reason to go down there and take it to the big man. I'm with you on that. But that was the one thing they they did a good job defensively. Whether you say they muck it up, they were diving on the floor, they were rebounding, they were getting the loose balls, and that's good. They should be commended for that. There's part of it you say, if they fight that hard all year long, I mean, that's all you can ask, in scrap. But when you're shorthanded like they were tonight, and they don't have Dickinson, I mean, that's a gigantic hole. I mean, everything runs through him. And, I don't know when they got the news and what their game plan was, and, how quickly you got to put all that stuff together and then, try to abort and try different things. But, they were up against it obviously from the start,
Yeah. Yeah. That's the first time they really took Caleb Houston out and didn't put him back in for a good while. That's the first time all year. Maybe they're sensing, like you said, that he's lacking confidence. And it does appear like that in his play. But something that's kind of bugging me, as I've watched this Michigan team all year, we don't take charges anymore. We used to be a real take a lot of charges, and it seems like if the balls in the other court, we're the team getting the blocks, and it's just something that I don't know if it's emphasized, but we used to be take a lot of charges, and we had a few dumb fouls tonight. But hey, Illinois had better players, man. They got more guys that can shoot the ball, and you're right. Everybody's game plan is to take Eli Brooks out of the game. You got to defend Eli Brooks at the 3-point line. People are definitely doing that. But how about Howard? I love the way the kid gives great effort. He did a pretty good job on Kofi, defended him for a minute there. But he had, a couple dumb fouls. But he's a guy that's really improved. I really think he's gotten better. Frankie Collins does some good things. He finished. He's such a strong player, taking it to the hole. But again, we're getting to see some other guys play a lot of minutes more than they probably would have ever had a chance without the COVID and these guys out.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Jace Howard, for people that will see Michigan in the warmups, you can see the athleticism that he has and the bounce. I think that, the hope is that, you didn't want to play him as many minutes. I mean, he played a career high minutes in the first half. And of course, because of where the roster's at. But, now's the time where you kind of look, and I don't think they're saying this, maybe they say it when they're, the staff and they close the door, as they can say, hopefully what you're looking for now is just progress from the players individually. You mentioned Frankie Collins, sometimes on those drives, I mean, he is strong. He is fearless. I mean, maybe they talk about getting him some more time at the point, even though Devontae Jones, played his best game, in a Michigan uniform, the dark uniform that they went with the special uniforms. Did you notice that, Scar? Because it was a thing online earlier today, and people were like, I hate these uniforms or whatever else. And then they went out there, and I forgot all about it. So I looked back online during the game, and I was like, oh, yeah, everybody said they didn't like these. But I didn't really notice it. I don't know. Did you pick up on the –
I really wasn't. I wasn't looking at that. I was seeing Terrence Williams starting. I was seeing Dickinson on the bench. I was looking at those things. But
yeah,
I tell you, I think our guard play is as good as just about anybody in the – maybe people think I'm crazy, but I think our guard play – our problems are our 3s and 4s. That's, I think, where we're hurting. I tell you, kid, I'm high on, and I would play more. I'd play him in front of Williams. I'd play him in front of Johns because I think he has confidence, and he's a scorer. Is Buffkin? He's a young, fragile kid. He's going to get. He's a young, but he's a scorer. He's fearless. He'll go to the hole, and I think he's a little more confident shooting the perimeter shot. Because I just don't don't see Williams giving us much scoring. I just don't see it, and I would give more. I'm just big on Buffkin, man. I see him as a scorer, and he's a playmaker. He can take it to the hole, and he's getting better.
Yeah, I like that last layup he had. He took it to the big man in there. I think he got an and one. That was pretty nice. So yeah, I think with a lot of these young guys, that's the thing. Like, you have your rotations and everything else, but I wonder when they start saying, hey, we're going to give these younger guys more minutes. I think Juwan Howard's like, yeah, they can have all the minutes they want right now because we don't have the numbers. But, so I think that's going to sort itself out here where, you're going to see a lot. I mean, they got a lot of season left here. They're not even to the midway point. And so I think you'll see a lot more Buffkin. I think you'll see a lot more Frankie Collins. They got to figure out Caleb Houston. It was early in the year, when they came out and he had a bad shooting night, and Phil Martelli said, look, just make sure because when you go 8 of 9, everybody's going to be, really high on you. But when you're missing the shots like he is, it's not like he's just over. I mean, the shots, in baseball sometimes, and, you see it in golf, they get the yips and things like that. I think he's got a little bit of that going on. He's had it in a different couple of games where, I mean, he's missing it so bad. I mean, you can miss shots, in and out, but when you're missing them and you're not even drawing the backboard, I mean, he's missing them by 3 feet. And it's an obvious thing here. And if he's sitting around draining them, I don't know if that's the one part. Like, I'd like to know. I mean, if he's sitting around there just draining them, and is he unconscious when he's in the gym and he's at practice, and then he gets out on the floor, and then I don't know, with the bright lights or whatever else, and he's got to adjust to that. But to me, that's the number one. I don't know if there's a concern. That's a concern. Getting him right, where he's just out there, where he can put him up and he can get his confidence, and maybe he can build on something for next year. But right now, like you said, they took him out for a long stretch. If they had options, I think they'd have taken him out for the whole game. Yeah,
I think him, Caleb, I think Houston, I think Williams, I think Johns, I think all three of them mentally at the 3-point line, they're just not confident. They're just not confident players, and there's no secret formula to that, Denny, as a coach and as a player. He's just, I guarantee you, in practice, he's probably lighting it up and making them in practice. But you get a hand in your face and you get the pressure on you. It's a whole other deal in the game, and they just got to keep shooting and dig their way out of it. But there's no easy answer to that, man.
No, he's a freshman. I think one of the mysteries is Zeb Jackson. He started out the season, and he had some injury or a health issue. They didn't exactly. It was non-COVID health issue, and then he was back in there, and then he missed a game, or he missed 2 for personal reasons. But he's one of the guys, like, we already talked about. You count on Brandon Johns when he was a senior. You were hoping he was going to elevate his game, and he wasn't there tonight because of medical reasons. And then you're hoping that Terrence Williams and Zeb Jackson in their second year, that these guys were going to get, and they're going to be contributors. I mean, and be in the rotation. Take it at times, those guys, Zeb a little bit, but Terrence Williams in a few games last year. I mean, he was part of a rotation for Michigan. So you're really hoping that those guys heading into the year were going to play a larger role. And it's been, I don't know, with Williams, we've seen it. It just hasn't happened with Zeb Jackson. It's a mystery a lot. Maybe it has to do with the personal issues, the medical reasons, whatever else, that he's just not able to go out there and able to give him anything and get in there. When you're you're playing a team like tonight and you're shorthanded and you need some offense. Look, I mean, there was a point in the first half where they only had 10, 12 points. And you're like, all right, they're diving around, they're scoring, but nobody wants the ball. Nobody can shoot. It ended up being, DeMonte Jones had to just say, to hell with it. I'm just going to go in there and, that's where you'd think, maybe Zeb Jackson could have helped him. But, if he missed the last week, and we don't know about the COVID, if they're practicing, if they're not able to run up and down the court, what are you asking? And I'm over here talking about getting him in there, and Juwan Howard could say, look, man, the guy didn't practice all week long. I'm not going to put him out there. So, that was probably what was going on.
Yeah, there. That was interesting, that they were there on the bench, and, however the medical staff made that decision that, they just hadn't played enough, hadn't ran enough, concerned with conditioning. I'm thinking, okay, just don't play them that much. Play them 8-10 minutes, something.
Right.
But
right.
Obviously they had a different plan, but we didn't talk about Brooks. Brooks did some good things, but he just gets so much attention that he's not really getting in a flow, man. He's just not getting in a flow. And I'm going to say this again about if I'm Juwan Howard, I start Buffkin above a guy like Williams. I would start Buffkin. I just think he's a scorer. They need scorers. They got to have guys that can put the ball in the hole, that can stretch the floor, maybe make a 3-pointer, take someone to the hole. And I know he's going to be a little bit more of a liability on defense because, Williams he does. Buffkin's about 6'4", 6'5", but yeah. I just think I think we need scoring, man. And him and Brooks and Jones and with Hunter, that gives us guys that can score. And we got to find ways to score.
They do, and when you think of that, it seems like it keeps coming back to Caleb Houston. Like, that's what you were hoping, that he was going to be able to, to rein it in from anywhere, and then drain it from downtown, and put it on the floor and do all of that, and that hasn't happened. So finding just and forget about him being some volume score or anything. I'm just looking for him to get some semblance of a 3-point shot and look comfortable at the college level. I mean, he's a freshman. It happens. Those guys get out there and they're freshmen, but that's the thing. Kobe Buffkin, the fearlessness, he's got a lot of talent. He was a McDonald's All-American, but you see the talent. And it's the same thing with Frankie Collins, especially with the point guard. That, those guys that, they're going to be here next year, and you can say, you can be excited about that. Diabate, who knows? I mean, when you start looking at and the NBA scouts start taking a look at you, who knows? But with Caleb Houston right now, I mean, that was some of the thoughts even a week or two ago that we were talking about. Like, hey, maybe he'll still end up going to the pros, but I can't believe unless he gets a big time turnaround here. I don't know how he could think about leaving. But I mean, it's a long way. We haven't even got to the halfway point of the season. Let's just see if we can get him out there, and if he can put a one foot in front of the other here.
Yeah, hopefully he's a 3-4 year kid. I mean, that's what he looks like to me. He just doesn't look like much more than an Isaiah Livers type kid. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the pros obviously know a lot more than I do. But again, I want to emphasize again the upside of tonight, I think, was defense. I mean, we defended them. What was their final? What did they get? We
68 points.
60 points. Yeah. See, I always said we can't let people get above like 67 points to have a chance. But I think our defense it's getting better. We were rotating, we were communicating, and I thought against Kofi we did a decent job. So there was an upside, but they got a long way to go, and hopefully that COVID has run through the team and it's out and done, and we get rolling.
Yeah, and if you didn't watch this one, you say, hey, yeah, Michigan was totally shorthanded. They kept Illinois to their lowest offensive output, lowest field percentage. I think both of those things are true for the first half. Michigan was only down 4, but and then it looked like it was going to get away from them, but they climbed back within 9 minutes within a possession, and then just 1 point, and they had the possession, and Devontae Jones was driving for the lead. There with under 7 minutes to go, and it didn't happen. And then, after that, Illinois floodgates opened up a little bit. They started knocking down some shots. Coburn was down there, finally started throwing some down, and all of that. And then it ends up being a 15-point loss here. That's kind of where Michigan's at, and, shorthanded, and, not being able to practice, and first game in 10 days. I mean, all those things. I mean, they were so up against it. Here tonight. Those aren't excuses. That's where it's at. Some of the guys individually you can look at and say, yeah, wow, man. But we talked about them. So, they're going to be at home on Tuesday. They take on Maryland. Yaye's pretty good guard, and, Maryland's, that's going to be a tough game. I don't think there's any game you're looking at right now saying, oh, yeah, that's going to be a notch in their belt. So, that's going to be a tough one. If they're, at this point, you hope they're able to just get everybody out on the floor, be able to get some practices, and hopefully the crowd can energize them a little bit. They can play a game down to the last, and see if they can get a win here in the Big Ten. They hadn't had one of those in a while. I mean, they do have one, but they fall to 1-3 in the conference, and they're now 500 on the year.
Yeah, Maryland will be tough. They got players. They had a coach. The coaches quit, and Danny Manning's running it. But you make a good point, because I know as a former coach that you got to have 10 guys, man. It's hard to get anything done in your preparation if you don't have 10 players. Then you're bringing managers out there. You're bringing water boys. I don't know what your coaches are acting as. It's tough to go over your game plan and how you're going to do things if you don't have 10 players. So hopefully we got 10 and they can get back to practicing normally.
Yeah, or hopefully Juwan can get out there and play again. That'd be nice. They used him tonight.
Yeah,
I would have picked Michigan if the coaches were able to play.
Yeah, our team, our bench is as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah, get Saudi out there, and I know Isley could shoot. So
yeah,
it'd be actually, just what the doctor ordered. Let's put that into play. They do a lot of different things with COVID and everything. Let's get the coaches. Let them play. Why not? All right, Scar. Anything else? Did you go over all?
Yeah, I think I touched on most of the players, and there were some good things defensively. Not as many stupid mistakes, and we just didn't score enough. And Illinois is good, man. Illinois. Illinois is another example, though. They brought a gunner in from Utah, right? They brought a knockdown gunner in, and we've talked about it. We've beaten it up. What if we would have gone and got that extra shooter?
Oh yeah, he would have been just what you needed. That's what you hoped Caleb Houston was going to be.
Yeah, well,
not to put so much pressure on him, but that when you're a top 10 recruit, that's what you're thinking the possibility is. At least it didn't happen. You understand it's not being down on him. It's just like those are the kind of things that you hope. I'm sure he was hoping the same thing.
Anyway, we got to keep grinding, man. We'll get everybody together to practice and get ready for Maryland, but. Devontae Jones, hell of a game. Our defense was better, just not good enough.
All right, Scar, say it. Go Raiders, right? Tomorrow, we don't want the Raiders and Rich Bisaccia to keep that job there for the Las Vegas Raiders. Keep your hands off of Jim Harbaugh, and then, maybe we'll have an announcement that, the coach has got a rework deal, by early next week, and then we're, back feeling pretty good about the offseason. You don't have to worry about any of these NFL teams interviewing him or anything else. We can get that thing put to bed.
Danny, I was reading Josh, some of his thoughts, and he said, you know what? When you think about it, you don't hire Mike Elston if you're leaving. That really is a really great signal, because he's not gonna bring this guy in and then I'm leaving. So that was a great.
You wouldn't think so, and Josh Henschke, he's been on top of it and everything else. But I also know that if you're going to listen to the NFL, everything you could be doing your job, everything Michigan, and then here you go, you get an interview and it's like whoa, So I don't know. Yeah. I think he's staying. So, but I still want the Raiders to win tomorrow over the Bengals, and that would be one less, at least. Enticement, or something, lure for him. So go Raiders.
Go Raiders. All right, Denny, go blue, man.
All right, man. We'll talk to you after Tuesday's game. How about that?
Sounds good.
There he is, Jim.